Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Cop Council. How are we all? Hopefully, all of you are having a fantastic Wednesday, wherever we are around the world. Welcome back to another Liverpool news episode for you guys this evening. We do have a bit of breaking news, of course, as you guys can see by the thumbnail and the title. Of course, Liverpool are in contact with Frankfurt for Hugo Ekitike. We'll get into what David Ornstein's had to come out and say about the situation, get your guys' thoughts. Of course, obviously, it is all related around, of course, the Alexander Isak situation as well. So a lot to obviously take in and digest at the moment when it does come to Alexander Isak or Hugo Ekitike and everything else around the Liverpool world at the present moment in time. But how are we, chat? Hopefully all of you are good and well. Of course, we are live a bit earlier tonight. Again, if there is any other breaking news, then we'll be live for it, of course, a bit later on, if there is any news, of course. But big up QT as well. Smash the likes and subs on the way in, guys. Well, yeah, if you could, very much appreciate it. As always, of course, if you are new, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button as well. But QT also says Liverpool could earn 50 million on Elliott and 15 million on Morton from West Ham. Yeah, true. I think Harvey, maybe this week or next week, we might end up hearing some news on him. But yeah, Tyler Morton to West Ham looks like it could be going, pretty quickly. I think a few West Ham reporters have said that West Ham are very high on Tyler Morton. So again, we could 100% be seeing that over the next couple of weeks, hopefully. Anyway, again, for their sake and Liverpool's sake, in many respects. Anyway, but look, we'll get straight into the news then around Hugo Ekitike. Now, David Ornstein has come out and said, as you guys can see by there, that Liverpool contact Eintracht Frankfurt over a possible move for Hugo Ekitike. Liverpool working on 23-year-olds forward, having also approached Newcastle for Alexander Isak. Newcastle want to keep the 25-year-old, plus Isak interest is ongoing from a Newcastle aspect of things. Now, what he has also come out and said from this article piece, he said that Liverpool have made contact with Frankfurt over the possible move for Hugo Ekitike, who is also being targeted by Newcastle United. The Athletic reported on July 14th that Newcastle tried to secure Ekitike via an offer of around 75 million euros, which is around 64.9 million pounds, which was turned down by Frankfurt. They have now received an approach from Liverpool too, as the Premier League champions work to bolster their attack with a new striker. It comes as Liverpool pursuit of Newcastle forward Alexander Isak. The Anfield club have communicated their interest about doing a deal in the region of 120 million pounds for the 25-year-old Swedish international. Newcastle are trying to land Ekitike this summer for a third time following failed attempts in the January of 2022 and the summer of 2022 as well. So, of course, they tried to get him in the January window and also tried to get him in that summer's window as well. But it does go said around Liverpool remain understandably high following the tragic death of Diogo Jota, blah, blah, blah. As the Athletic does go on to say that the Athletic reported on Tuesday that Liverpool's focus is now to bring in an incoming and finding a top number 9 as they seek to strengthen that position when they're open to offer to sell Darwin Núñez, while winger Luis Diaz has informed the club his desire to leave the football club. Though Liverpool have approached Newcastle over Isak, the St James's Park club stance is that the Swede is not for sale. So again, that's from David Ornstein as of things right now. And I think, look, my honest opinion is that, of course, as things stand at the moment, it does look like Liverpool are working on both deals. Again, rightfully so, because look, Liverpool don't want to be caught out by Frankfurt completely going and switching and closing the door realistically to Liverpool, and then again, Liverpool then are left in no man's land in terms of not getting Alexander Isak and not getting Hugo Ekitike. But with doing this, I think it's a huge power move from Liverpool. Again, I know a lot of Geordies are frustrated and fuming at the minute that Liverpool have really pulled this move, or pulled in their eyes, this strategic move. Really, in my honest opinion, I think it's smart from us. The fact that we're saying basically to Newcastle that, look, you either give us your best player or we'll go and take your number one target. And that's it's as simple as it sounds. The fact that Liverpool are going to be doing that. And again, for Hugo Ekitike, look, he may look at it and go, oh, I don't want to be used in that certain way. And look, we've seen it in the past, haven't we, over the last couple of years, like we talked about in yesterday's show, with Moises Caicedo. Liverpool very much wanted Caicedo, and it kept Romeo Lavia as a backup option. Again, Chelsea ended up getting both. And you kind of look at it and go, look, Liverpool don't want to kind of end up in that same situation, because then we were looking around, and then we ended up with Wataru Endo, again the better of the players. I'm not gonna lie, but still, of course we know it's going to be either Alexander Isak for Liverpool or Hugo Ekitike. We hope it's Alexander Isak, but again, if Newcastle shut that door, look, by the looks of it, Liverpool will go all in then on Hugo Ekitike. And look, for me personally, I think both would be superb for Liverpool. I really, really do. Again, I love the look of Alexander Isak. Of course, obviously, we've seen him in the Premier League over the last couple of seasons. Be absolutely unbelievable for Newcastle. And for me, I think Hugo Ekitike has the potential to become that type of player. But as of things right now, of course, he is, again, not as gifted as Alexander Isak in terms of front of goal, but again, he does have the potential to maybe even overtake Alexander Isak in a couple of seasons' time. And profile-wise, they are both the same type of player. And look, I think either deal would be brilliant for Liverpool. I really, really do believe that as well. But big up Hero as well, saying, "Hi peeps, which way will all this play out?" Well, hopefully with Liverpool having Alexander Isak potentially at the moment, but I'm happy with either. Yeah, I would agree. John as well, big up John, hopefully doing well. But for me, I would prefer Isak, but don't get me wrong, if Ekitike is a second choice, then again, I'm not too disheartened by that either. In many respects, but if we were open talks with Ekitike's reps, then it's him. I can't see it being a smokescreen, etc. Well, the thing is with it, and look, as David Ornstein's report says, as I'm looking at it right now, again, it says we contact Frankfurt. Of course, normally we got to be in contact with his team as well in regards to that. I think the Newcastle side of things. I think even though Newcastle, I think Sport Build reported, didn't they, that Newcastle were pushing for a move and trying to get this over the line ASAP. I think that was this morning as well, that Sport Build were kind of pushing the narrative of Newcastle are definitely moving ahead with a move, and realistically it's going to get done. Which I think as a Liverpool fans, and I think a lot of people on social media was like, oh, surely that means then that Liverpool are confident in landing Alexander Isak. Now, with that being said, I do think, again, the fact that no journal really has come out and blatantly gone like, look, it's not going to happen, is still, it's still good in some sense. But at the moment, again, all the initial reports from David Ornstein, Romano as well at the moment, is the fact that Newcastle don't want to sell. But then if that's the case, why isn't it shut down by now? Maybe it might be, but in the next couple of hours. But as of right now, I personally think that there is still a chance that Liverpool could get Alexander Isak. Of course, it's going to take a world record bid, isn't it? Let's not take that out of proportion. It's going to take a club record fee. It's going to take, another British transfer record for, to get Alexander Isak. But Liverpool look like they're prepared to do it, and I hope that is the case. I really do. I really, really do. Dow's in as well, saying Isak will be a Liverpool player. We are 2 in on this now as well. I hope so. I really do. I really, really do. Why would Liverpool stop at Isak now? Isak wants to move. Surely we would have walked weeks ago. Well, that's the thing, isn't it? And there's been reports that it's getting pushed by Isak's agent as well. Of course, look, Alexander Isak isn't the type of player to demand a move from Newcastle. He's not that type of person. He's not that type of player. But Liverpool want him to be. Like, Liverpool are trying everything to kind of get Alexander Isak to go, to Newcastle and go, look, I want to move. I want to move to Liverpool Football Club. I respect everything here at Newcastle, but I would like to go and play for Liverpool. I'd like to go and move to the Premier League champions. And that's, for me, the biggest thing around there is if Isak starts making noise and he starts making questions for Newcastle in terms of, his loyalty towards the football team, I personally think that Liverpool will, again, then put that bid through. But as of things right now, of course, we've heard that Liverpool are prepared to put £120 million on the table. But as of things right now, we don't know anything in terms of, are Liverpool actually going to pursue it and put that bid through? Or are we going to, at the moment, just be, relax at the moment that, we are in command of the situation. Again, if they just turn around right now in half an hour and say, oh, no, look, he's not going to go anyway. Then, okay, Liverpool then go full focus on Hugo Ekitike and we go and sign their number one target, and I think that'll be the case as well. But hello, Luke. Hopefully doing well. Isak will join. I'm going to take some rich tea biscuits to get over the line. Well, maybe, potentially. Or just take him to IKEA with the Swedish meatballs. Just do that. Either way. Is there an IKEA in Liverpool? I'm not too sure. There probably is. It's all exciting seeing the version of the team become a reality. Yeah, I think, well, again, a lot of people, I think over the last, couple of weeks, kind of like, not fantasy booked, but kind of like gone, like, oh, we'd love Alexander Isak up top alongside Mo Salah. If you got Florian Wirtz behind, and of course, people at the moment are talking about Rodrigo on the left, or again, some people even mentioning Anthony Gordon, for example. Look, I think we won't see Luis Diaz at Liverpool next season. I think it's going to be Cody Gakpo on the left for us, but again, that front four of Gakpo, Wirtz, Salah, and potentially Alexander Isak. Wow, like that is scary. That's a scary front four. And yeah, I said it before coming on the stream. I think if Liverpool get Isak, Liverpool win the Premier League and the Champions League next season. I do. And look, that might be a bit worse then, because look, a ball's not even kicked yet for the season. But I look at it and go, I can't see anyone stopping us, really, if we was to get that, at least anyway. But who knows? Breaking news: David Ornstein, Arsenal will not sign Alexander Isak. No shit. Anyway, I'm just quickly going to check if there is any more news in regards to Hugo Ekitike. But yeah, the scary thing at the moment as well is the fact that I've seen a lot of Newcastle fans, of course, really frustrated and fuming with the situation, because again, obviously Liverpool, number one, have gone on to either got their number one target or trying to get their number one striker. And I've also seen people turn around and go like, oh, well, why would Newcastle want to sell Alexander Isak and not let him go? I think personally myself, and I mentioned this just before coming on stream, that I think now is the only time Newcastle can get over 100 million for Alexander Isak. Personally, myself, I think obviously now they're looking at 120, 130 million pounds. That seems to be the price that Liverpool again are willing to go to. And it, again, don't know whether or not Newcastle look at it and go, oh, look, we could take this 130 million pounds and obviously reinvest it, go and sign Hugo Ekitike, and then we go and shop for the future. But I look at it and go, this is the only opportunity, in my honest opinion, that Newcastle could get that type of money for him. People could disagree. And look, if Isak stays at Newcastle and goes on to score 30 goals in the Premier League next season, with only 2 years left on his contract, does that mean, again, he stays above £100 million? I don't necessarily think so. I think, again, maybe, again, obviously Newcastle would then ask for, 120, £130 million for him. I think he's made it quite clear he's not signing that new contract. I think Craig Hope mentioned it. I think even we brought it up on stream yesterday, didn't we? That Craig Hope said that, again, Isak feels like he's a bit betrayed by Newcastle in the current regime because, again, supposedly he was made to be aware of a new contract very, very soon with the new regime coming in, and still hasn't had it. So I do think it's an interesting one for sure. But personally, I don't think Newcastle could cash in as high as what they could this summer as well. So I do think now is probably the best optimal time that they could sell Alexander Isak, in my honest opinion. But again, that's just my thoughts on it anyway. But get Diaz and Kanate gone ASAP. No one bigger than the club. I'd keep Kanate for one more year. I would. But yeah, I think Diaz will go this summer. How are our rival fans shaping up, in your opinion? Does the league get stronger year by year? Yeah, look, I think Arsenal have gotten stronger. I think City, of course, from last season, have got better with the signings they've made. Of course, both teams will make a lot more. But the other thing I will also say is that, in my honest opinion, have they made signings to leapfrog Liverpool? No, because Liverpool have got even better. Like, again, if it's either Isak or Ekitike, Liverpool have got better. You know, in my opinion, at least. Like, again, Liverpool have got Gakpo on the left, Mo Salah up front, or Mo Salah on the right, sorry. They've got Florian Wirtz behind. They've got Dominic Szoboszlai, Alexis McAllister, Ryan Gravenberch. Again, there is so much quality in this Liverpool team. I don't think anyone in the Premier League is better than this. And that's me being truthful. But is the league getting better? Yes, of course it is. Again, when you've got teams like Newcastle, for example, like Aston Villa, Bournemouth as well, competing for European places, as well as Forest, again, the league is getting better. Like last season, the only fans that said the league wasn't competitive or wasn't good was Arsenal fans. And that was it, because they fell off and they completely, they were closer to a top 4 race than they was a title race. And that's all we heard about was Arsenal. Oh, Arsenal should have won the league. Arsenal should have been this. Like, no, you deserved top 4 last season. And that was it. It didn't deserve to win a title. Again, like that's the case. And the fact, I think next season, my honest opinion, I think City will be our biggest rivals next season going into the league. Again, I think it will be Liverpool City again, for sure. But Coleman does the window shut. What is it? 1st of September, is it? I think. Again, I could be wrong with that. I heard on the radio today about parents fighting at 11-year-old game. Yeah, that is commitment, to be fair. Again, what game were they arguing about? I'll be very intrigued to know that, Hero. Anyway, but Martin says, tell me who you think we sign as our number 9. I think it will be Alexander Isak. I do. But that is just purely based on hope. And I'm being truthful with it. I am truly being like, oh, okay, this is just hope at the moment, because again, like I'm looking at a piece from David Ornstein now, as he says, again, this is on Alexander Isak, by the way. He says, in terms of where he goes next, I think a little bit of time is required. Will Newcastle's stance shift? We have seen no sign of it so far. Will Isak agitate to leave? We have seen no sign of it so far, but there is quite a lot of distance to go before the transfer window shuts, and we have got no indication that Liverpool are just going to drop their interest. So it's it's ongoing and going to keep us talking. Now, for me, that's the interesting point. Again, look, Liverpool don't stick around. We know this for a fact. Liverpool don't tend to linger and just hope and dream that, oh, look, Isak will sign. And that, like, of course, Liverpool do eventually move on from a player. And this is why I think Liverpool are trying everything they can do to get him. I really do. I think Liverpool are trying everything to get him. And I again, I would say I'm going to put it on a limb, right? Even if Liverpool don't get him this summer, I wouldn't be surprised we get him again next summer, or at least try to anyway. Yeah, well, really, again, it will be either Alexander Isak or it will be Hugo Ekitike for Liverpool, in my opinion, personally. But again, there's been talks. I think even I don't know if it was Sammy McBell, but somebody from the BBC was talking about Ollie Watkins and a few other names. Of course, there are other names being linked. Obviously, Benjamin Sesko. Again, looks like he's going to probably stay at Leipzig again for one more season. But Sesko's been spoken about. Ollie Watkins as well as a short-term option has also been mentioned. So again, I think even Vita as well from Wissa, sorry, from Brentford as well also got mentioned about it as well. So like I think it's a market that's kind of like, and when we talk about top elite nines, again, Isak's the only one I think you could go and get really, because there isn't any else or other strikers, sorry, on the market that is available. But Isak needs to tell Newcastle he wants to go to force their hand. Yeah, and I think that is the only true indication then that, like, look, he's going to go. Because we know that, like, the story coming out yesterday of Liverpool pursuing Alexander Isak, I think a lot of it did come from Isak's agent. Certainly with Romano, I think Romano's reporting on it. And of course, I think even a bit of David Ornstein's was, again, a lot to do with the agent. I think if it was Newcastle telling the story, I think it'd be a lot more harsher words in the reporting of it. I personally do think that. I do believe that if Newcastle told Liverpool, or, again, Liverpool, I don't think it's definitely, the story didn't come out from Liverpool. I don't think it definitely come from Isak's team or somebody around Newcastle. But I think directly, Newcastle, it's not from Newcastle, because the wording on David Ornstein's report, the wording from Romano as well, would have been a lot different compared to what it was yesterday in the article pieces and everything else regarding it, in my opinion anyway. But it was the Church Fate team versus Bishops. Happy bloody hell. Why are people arguing about that? Could be this story. Person said trouble took place at the under-10s game after an incident spilled into the style. Again, don't have a clue what happened there. But at the end of the day, again, was it on TalkSport that was arguing about? Again, I don't listen to TalkSport unless it's, again, a rare occasion I listen to TalkSport. Anyway, I'm going to chat. Is there something on Isak? Hang on a minute. So David Ornstein has said that you sense that Liverpool would only make an approach like this if they had some level of encouragement, wherever that may be from. I don't think they would just randomly go for it, and they haven't indeed made that approach. So I will quickly show you that, because that's on Twitter from Anfield Sector. Sorry, yeah. As of course on Alexander Isak, you sense that Liverpool would only make an approach like this if there was some levels of encouragement, wherever that may be from. I don't think they would just randomly go for it, and they have indeed made that approach. So when I said Alexander Isak, as what Martin asked in terms of tell me who do you think Liverpool get, I think we are looking at Alexander Isak potentially at getting him. Look, whether or not we do end up getting him is a completely different question. But again, the fact that we are, what is it? It's nearly 7:30 on Wednesday, and it's not shut down yet. Like, if Newcastle desperately didn't want to sell him, it would be done by now. Like, we wouldn't be talking about it. We wouldn't be talking about Hugo Ekitike. We wouldn't be talking about anything else. We would just be like, okay, we're getting Ekitike, move on. But we're not doing that. We're consistently talking about Alexander Isak moving to Liverpool. And look, I would still say it. If we don't hear anything tonight in terms of a rejectment or even with, for example, with Ekitike, I still think there's a huge possibility he joins Liverpool. In terms of Alexander Isak, I would say that it's a very, very, very strong possibility he does join. But look, again, Newcastle just could be toying with Liverpool, really, isn't it? But Radio 2, Jesus Christ. It's strange we went for option 2, though, today. I think we have to, really, though, Martin. I think, look, Liverpool, they want the type of profile, don't they? They want either Isak or they want Ekitike. They want this type of profile because, again, Ekitike could become what Isak is now. But I also look at it and go, Liverpool have to do this because, again, we don't want to happen what happened 2 years ago or 3 years ago, whenever it was, with Caicedo and Lavia, for example. Both of them went to Chelsea. Yes, it's a bit different because I know obviously Chelsea can throw a lot of money at those two players at the time. Newcastle can't really do that because they are limited by PSR, or of course they have money, in terms of their ownership, but again, they can't really sell it or they can't really do anything about it. So it's kind of that stage of where I think for me personally, Liverpool have to be on it, in terms of again, Liverpool being on it. Again, if Isak falls through, you go straight on Ekitike as well. And look, I've seen especially Geordies come out and say like, oh, well, maybe Ekitike doesn't want to join Liverpool. Really? Like, come on. Like, the fact that he has turned Newcastle down twice already, of course, I think he rejected them, like I mentioned, in 2022, I think, when he was at PSG. And then, of course, when he was going to go to Frankfurt, he rejected Newcastle again. So he's already rejected them for quite some time, really. Of course, I think it's a bit different now because, of course, obviously Newcastle, Champions League football. But also, this whole thing of Newcastle playing 4-4-2 and playing both of them together is ridiculous, because you're not spending £100 million or let's say €100 million on a backup striker. You're not never doing that. In no world are you doing that, unless you're Manchester City and you're doing it for Jack Grealish. You're never doing it. And look, in my honest opinion, Liverpool, I think, have made it quite clear for some time that, of course, they want Alexander Isak. And Newcastle have tried to cover their bases, and they've I think they tried to bluff Liverpool a little bit, where they were like, "Oh, okay, you want Liverpool, you want Alexander Isak? Oh, okay, they give us 130 million to try and fear Liverpool and going, oh no, we don't want to pay that much." But Liverpool have gone, okay, sound. If you want 130, we'll give you 130, and that's kind of the difference of it, where it's like, oh crap, like they're actually going to do the deal. I think Newcastle have really gone, oh, what the hell's going on here? Because let's not forget, by the way, the people doing the transfers for Newcastle at the moment is Eddie Howe, and I think it's his brother as well also doing it or helping him with it. So with that being said, of course, because at the moment they don't have a sporting director, because again, Paul Mitchell did leave at the end of last season. So at the moment they are sporting direct. Don't have a sporting director. I think they looked at even Julian Ward to replace Paul Mitchell for that, but again, they don't have anyone at the moment. Big up F as well, saying, yes, guys, how are we doing? Doing good, thank you, mate. Bellingham, Caicedo, Lavia. Yeah, Jesus Christ. Thank God we don't have that midfield. The Ekitike conversations were to be expected, to be honest. We have to be prepared for every eventuality. Yeah, absolutely agree. Looks like all bases are covered. The dice just need to roll now. Yeah, exactly. And as soon as we do find out any bit of news regarding, any domino effect really happening, I think we will hear something in the next 24 hours in terms of, whether or not Isak's coming or going, or Ekitike is going to happen. I think in the next couple of hours we might even hear something at 10:30, because one person who's been very quiet in terms of all this news, Paul Joyce. Paul Joyce has been very quiet. I think obviously David Ornstein, Fabrizio Romano, they are the two guys to watch out for in terms of any news. And also, I will turn around and say as well that for me, I think you look at it and go, again, James Pierce, I think, has spoken about Isak over the last 24 hours. David Lynch as well has also talked about it. But yeah, Paul Joyce has been very quiet on the situation at the present moment in time, at least. But Geordies are all on I was going to say copium then, but probably. But I think Newcastle fans at the minute, like, I saw something. To be fair, I talked about TalkSport earlier on. I seen something earlier on that. What were they going on about? It was someone. Oh no, it was Matthias Cunha. So the Newcastle fan was comparing the fact that Matthias Cunha went to Manchester United for, what was it, £60 million or £70 million, something like that. No, it was 60 million. And he was like, oh, Alexander Isak is 3 times the player that Matthias Cunha is, so he must be 3 times the price. And they were talking about 200 million. Now, I don't watch TalkSport, I don't listen to it. I saw the clip on Twitter, and I think Jamie O'Hara just talks absolute crap about football, genuinely. But I have to agree with him. Like, Newcastle fans need to wake up, or at least, again, the ones that are not trying to, rage bait people need to wake up in terms of, yes, he's going to cost a lot of money. Yes, he's going to cost 130 plus million pounds. But no chance in hell is Alexander Isak worth 200 million pounds. There's no chance of that. And look, again, he's their player. Of course, they'll want as much as possible for him. But yeah, there's no chance Isak is worth 200 million pounds. I think Liverpool, again, if that offer is true of 130 million pounds, I think that's a fair price for Alexander Isak. I do. But the one thing I would also say as well, Newcastle are quite. If the build report was real this morning, and they reckon that that Newcastle have said, oh, we'll go up to 100 million euros for Hugo Ekitike, that for me is the one that I look at it and go, well, Liverpool are interested in him, but Newcastle, again, if they are going up that much, then they must have some inkling of what's going to happen in terms of, Isak or Ekitike, really. But I personally think Liverpool will get Isak this summer. Watch now in the next 10 minutes, Ornstein comes out and goes, nope, Isak's staying at Newcastle, Liverpool getting Ekitike as well. But yeah, the guy who's saying Isak is 3 times the player, Cunha, so deserve 180 million. Yeah, it's ridiculous. But what else do we have? Martin says a player is worth what somebody will pay. Yeah, exactly. But it has to make sense, though, doesn't it? That's not. Let's not get that twisted. Like, Liverpool could say that, for example, like who are we thinking? Like Harvey Elliott, for example, is £100 million player. No, he's not. Like, he's genuinely not. And that's the thing where, look, some people will turn around and go like, oh, this player's worth this much. Like, no, you have to be realistic. Like, look, like Liverpool saying Luis Diaz is worth 100 million euros. No, he's not. Is he worth more than the price what Bayern Munich paid for, or bid for him? Yes, of course he is. He's worth more than 53 million pounds. Like, you are putting him in the conversation with Alanga and Madueke, but he's not in that conversation. He's a lot higher on that list than that, in my honest opinion. But yeah, let me know your guys' thoughts anyway down in the comments. But big up Gene as well. Hope he's doing well, mate. Saying Liverpool must have some encouragement from Isak. If not, we wouldn't see Liverpool going for Isak, and we would have signed Ekitike by now. 100% agree. I absolutely do agree. I think Liverpool, like as David Ornstein, there is bits and pieces coming out as of now. I don't know whether or not if he's done a podcast on it, but there are posts coming out now about it. Sorry, chat. I just read it. I thought, Nicholas Jackson could be going to Manchester United, which is quite funny to be fair. But yeah, obviously, if you guys have just tuned in as well, is that post still up? Is that it, or is there another one? No, there's another one. So if you guys have just tuned in as well, of course, this is what David Ornstein just said on Alexander Isak. Of course, it is taken from Anfield sector. But yeah, that's what he has just said on Alexander Isak. Of course, where he mentions there has been some level of encouragement wherever that's come from. So whether or not it is Alexander Isak's agent, or whether or not, again, Newcastle have kind of said something to Liverpool, I kind of look at it and go, me personally, I think it is Isak's agent that has said that, look, we are interested in the move. If you put something on the table, Liverpool, Newcastle might bite at it, really. But I think Liverpool somehow has some confidence that they can get him. But I 100% agree with that comment, 100%. But big up Mark as well, saying Isak must push. This Newcastle won't sell, otherwise then he will regret it. Yeah, I think that's the interesting point about it, though. Truly, is the fact that will he push for a move? Like, personally, I don't think he's that type of person that will push for the move or try to get his way out of Newcastle, because again, he does have 3 years left on his contract. Again, I think if we was dealing with a player that had 2 years left, I think Newcastle would, for 130 million, I think they grab at that, really. I do think that they absolutely grab at that for sure. And yeah, I do think we are 100% on it, no matter what, really. But Gene says Liverpool transfer news, when briefed by journalists, actually late, when the actual transfer is really advanced. Yeah, no, we 100% know that, unless it's transfer deadline day where everything's so like close together. Like, again, when we hear about it, or like when certain people hear about it, again, it is pretty much a bit behind. Like, I think the Jordan Henderson news to Saudi was 2 weeks late, supposedly, when it did happen as well. So yeah, we are the last ones to know at the moment, anyway. But Talia Albin, Hugo Ekitike was signed for £60 million, but it'd be more than that, Gary. But it is possible. Yeah, this all depends on if he pushes 100%. Martin says, I believe the issue is Newcastle's price. That they are saying 150. Liverpool would go for 150. I think. Yeah, I do think Liverpool would go 150 if it guaranteed us getting him. I think Liverpool would go 150. But again, is he worth that? Who knows? But big up Ian as well, who's doing well. But I suspect they will. They'll have to do. Sorry, my eyes just blurred into one then. I suspect there will have to be a decision made in the next 48 hours in respect of Isak, as we need clarity on how we move forward, given pre-season is now, it's ensuring an alternative target. Like I said, it will either be Isak or it will be Ekitike, one or the other for Liverpool. I've seen a couple of people saying both. No, it won't be both for Liverpool. Anfield sector sometimes does live streams, yes, on playback. And yesterday they were saying that if Diaz leaves, Rodrigo is the number one target, and this really excites me. Rodrigo is perfect. Yeah, no, we spoke about it yesterday. So I do listen to obviously Josh's streams and so on as well a couple of times. But look, Rodrigo is an interesting one, isn't it? Left wing targets a bit weird as well, because there isn't many decent options out there, let's be perfectly honest. But yeah, I do think it's one to keep an eye on for sure. With Rodrigo, of course, it looks like he's going to move from Madrid. Apparently Madrid have told him he can leave if he wants to, and it's purely down on the player. Now, we mentioned it yesterday, didn't we? That I think there's been conversations, I think, over the last couple of days that he can leave. But again, who that's to, I think his number one target, or his number, is definitely top targets, I think, are Liverpool and City. Really, I know Arsenal fans are trying to encourage themselves in the fact that they are going to, that they're in the race. I don't think they are, personally. I think they are very much going to go after Eze from Palace. But because the one thing I also found funny was the fact that Arsenal fans are kind of thinking about, like, oh, if we sell Martinelli, then we have to buy two of them. It's like, there's no chance you're buying two. Like, honest to God, there's no chance you're buying Rodrigo and Eze. But yeah, no. If Diaz leaves, Rodrigo, I think, would be the number one target as well. What? Not 150 as well. Look, I think, as of things right now, I think 130 is enough to get Isak. But I think Liverpool, again, would be willing to go up to 150. I do. But again, Liverpool will turn around and go, no, of course not. We're not going up to 150. Bugger that. But yeah, no, I do think he'll be somewhere around there. Anyway, but I think, honest to God, I think 130 for sure with Liverpool. But we have a good relationship with Rodrigo's agent. Well, yeah, we basically nearly had him signed. What was it, back in 2017? I want to say 2017 or 2018, somewhere around there. But yeah, there'll definitely be there's definitely something there, isn't it, with Rodrigo? But Arsenal have Havertz fit again, so he's ready to go again. Yeah, no, he is. But of course, they Arsenal's front three next season will be Madueke, Saka, and Victor Gyökeres. That will be their front three. Maybe our front three could end up being Rodrigo or Gakpo, Alexander Isak, and Mo Salah, with Florian Wirtz behind them. Sorry. That's scary. That is really, really scary to see anyway. But I think for this to happen, Isak has to encourage a move. Otherwise, I don't see it happening. Yeah, I would again, like I said, Isak does have to make some noise around it. Why would we make an approach if we wasn't sure if the deal won't happen? Well, Liverpool can make an approach. Like, again, for any player, you can make an approach to sign a player. It doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get him. But as Ornstein said it, you're not going to approach a team unless you have some sort of encouragement. And we've seen over the years that Liverpool don't tend to go for players unless they have encouragement that he will join the football club. And look, Liverpool, somehow they think they can go and get him as well, because that's the thing. As of time of recording this, Liverpool do not have, or Liverpool at least don't have, any negative noise coming out of Newcastle. Apart from Newcastle saying, "Oh yeah, he's not for sale," but then why did they put that price on him, or why on earth did they speak about a price tag? Like, if you're saying, he's undoubtedly not for sale, oh, but maybe we might come to the table at £150 million. Like, why would you do that? And that's the thing where, again, I think if Liverpool get to a point that makes a lot of sense, I think Liverpool, again, trigger it, really. But we'll have to wait and see. Anyway, but look, let me know your guys' thoughts down in the comments. Anyway, let me know if you guys think Hugo Ekitike will join or Alexander Isak. Look, for me, I'm happy with either one. Of course, I'd be over the moon if Liverpool got Alexander Isak, and same with Hugo Ekitike. But look, I know plenty of people will want one or the other. I think some people want Ekitike more than Isak. But look, I would personally be over the moon if we got either one. Really. But look, at the end of the day, let me know your guys' thoughts down in the comment section down below. If there is any more news regarding Isak or Ekitike, we'll be back live a bit later on for it, of course. But if there isn't, we'll be back tomorrow for another episode as well on the channel. Of course, any news will be live for it as usual. But until next time, guys, that's going to be it from me. I've been Connor from the COP Council. We'll see you guys later on. Ta-ra.